Oh my god, hey! Welcome back to my kingdom of stagey isolation. If you are seeing my face for the first time, my name is Mickey Joe and I am obsessed with all things theatre. And this is my stagey YouTube channel. Little known fact about me, I'm also obsessed with comic books. As a proud comic book nerd, I have been very excitedly watching Wandavision on Disney+. I feel like we all have. It's bonded us during this stressful lockdown time. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to tell you what happens in the finale. I do think over the course of this video, I'm probably going to talk about revelations that happen up to and including the end of episode 7. So if you haven't watched that far, go away and watch it and then come back to me. So since WandaVision has become the latest huge trending TV show that everyone is talking about on social media, including TikTok, the internet has done its usual thing of taking something that it loves and saying, you know what if this was a musical? We had the Ratatouille musical, we had the Bridgerton musical, and now people are talking about a WandaVision musical. Most of the content I'm seeing is revolving around the song Agatha All Along that we hear at the end of episode 7, which is a bop. I know it's only March and it's probably too soon to say this, but it may be the hottest track of the year. So as a qualified musical theatre and comic book fan, I've come on here today to answer the question of, do we need a WandaVision musical? Would this work? How would it work? I have the answers. I am prepared to tell them to you. Buckle up, it's about to get stagey. We all love WandaVision, but would it work as a musical? So I'm normally pretty hesitant on a lot of these occasions when something is tossed around as an idea for a new musical. Anytime someone enjoys something, they're like, let's make it a musical. Because enjoying a piece of content, whether that's a film, a book, a TV show, in its own right, does not mean it would be a good musical. However, WandaVision as a show is such a cool and creative concept with the way that they did it, that I think there are interesting ways you could adapt it into a musical, not by simply just taking that plot and putting it on a stage. I mean, obviously it would be like 7 hours long, but I think the right director could do something incredibly creative with it, and I have a few ideas about how this might work. So if you don't know the plot of WandaVision, I'm going to give you a very brief synopsis and overview. Wanda Maximoff, who is one of the Avengers, who has lost her husband and her brother in the events of the previous Marvel films, goes to this town called Westview and sort of takes over with power sort of beyond her own control and beyond her own perception. She reinterprets this whole town and turns it into an old-timey 1950s TV show where everyone is trapped and takes on new personas, and she brings her dead husband Vision, who is kind of a robot dude, too complicated, not going to talk about it. She brings him back to life and they do this very Dick Van Dyke, I Love Lucy style TV show. The next week, they're in the 60s and it's slightly more Bewitched. The week after that, it's more of a 70s idea. And we go through all of these different TV themes. There's references to Malcolm in the Middle. There's references to Modern Family. We get more and more clues that the world she's created isn't real and is starting to unravel in front of her eyes. So my idea about how a WandaVision musical could go down is that rather than being trapped in a fictionalized TV show that she has concocted, she could have transported this whole town into the world of a Broadway musical, because maybe you reinterpret her as a child who grew up loving cast recordings. Didn't we all? Can relate. And so rather than having all of these TV tropes and these nods to famous sitcoms and television programs, you could reference musicals through the decades, starting with something very old-timey like Showboat, like Oklahoma, like The Sound of Music, moving through more of a 70s Sondheimy style, Angela Weber mega musical moment, put them on roller skates, dress them as cats. That may be too far. Into the 90s, throw in some Rent references, into a 2000s style musical, into the modern day. As well as the music in the show reflecting this change in time period and tone, you could change things about the direction. You could change things obviously about the aesthetics and the set design and the costume design. I'm seeing lots of clever instant dress reveals when the time period changes. I'm seeing projections. I'm seeing sets turning around. You could start with all traditional ballet type style choreography, Susan Stroman, and then go into a Fosse moment and then go into something super contemporary. Oh, I love this idea, it's so creative. You could even change the whole style in which it's directed, where it's a very traditional book musical seeming type thing at the beginning of the show, and then it becomes more immersive as it goes on and you interpret new theatrical styles into it. My favourite thing about the show WandaVision is it is a celebration of so many decades of television, and you could make a theatrical version that would do that for the theatre. So when you're talking about adapting something into a musical, the musical style and the songs that you would write for it has to be something that you would think of first. And as far as I can see it, there are 3 ways this could go. First of all, the songwriters behind the music that you hear on the show, all of the various TV introduction themes, as well as the bop that is Agatha All Along. It was Agatha all along, are none other than Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, who are also the songwriting team behind such Broadway musicals as Frozen. You know, Let It Go, Agatha All Along, 2 equally strong songs with equal influence that I don't think really outweigh each other. Wanda could take Elsa in a fight. There's really no discussing that. Wanda can warp reality. What are you gonna do? You're gonna make her cold? She's from Sokovia. She was born cold. Anyway, there has been so much said on the internet about the cleverness of Agatha All Along, the cleverness of how Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez have parodied all of these TV theme styles from over decades. They could definitely write a very clever score for a musicalized version that would expand on all of those ideas and would give us a sense of moving through the decades. An alternative idea I had about how this would work is you could even do something with jukebox songs. Now, I am not normally one to advocate for a jukebox musical. I like original songs being written for musicals by musical theatre songwriters. However, I do think you could do something clever here. I think you could take songs from over the different decades, all the way back to the 50s, and reinterpret, rearrange them in clever ways for the stage. Think about how Hocus Pocus made this iconic scene out of the song I Put a Spell on You by rearranging it for Bette Midler. That kind of a style, think that. They could even make it songs all about witches and magic from throughout the decades. Frank Sinatra's Witchcraft is an old-timey style one, and then Little Mix, Black Magic, or something slightly more theme appropriate for the show. But you get the idea. The third option, as I see it with music, the musical version of SpongeBob SquarePants had every song written by a different pop artist. Sarah Bareilles wrote a song, and David Bowie wrote a song, and I think Bono wrote a song. You could do the same thing for Wandavision, but with different musical theatre writers to bring their own styles to it. Have someone emulate more of a traditional Rodgers and Hammerstein style at the beginning, and then, I mean, if you want to try and get Andrew Lloyd Webber to write a song for the middle of the show, then get some Jason Robert Brown in there, and then get someone even more contemporary, get some Joe Iconis maybe. Can we dream big enough to have a Stephen Sondheim song? Because, my God. And Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez as well. I mean, if they want to write Wanda an Act 2 belty ballad song that's almost exactly the same as Monster from Frozen, I wouldn't even be mad at it. It could be a blatant rip-off and I would still be happy that she gets that moment. It's what she deserves. The next thing I want to think about is casting, and I've had a few different ideas for this and how it could go down. For Wanda herself, I kept being drawn to people who had played Jenna in Waitress. I feel like there's a lot of similarities in the character in terms of like the inexpressible grief that she's feeling while trying to hold together this facade of a life. Desi Oakley was someone that I suggested to play Wanda. I could see Lucy Jones doing a fantastic job as well. If you're trying to really emulate the Marvel Cinematic Universe on stage and you want to go for someone who has a visual connection to that, Erica Henningsen is someone you could cast because she looks not unlike Elizabeth Olsen. I'd say Casey Levy fits fairly well into that bracket again, and again, she could give us the Act 2 monster ballad. Just put Monster in this show, honestly, it super works. I was trying to think of more European actresses who would be able to bring that authenticity to Wanda's Sokovian past, but you know what, Sokovia is a fictional country, so let's not marry that idea. Or let's just get Wilhelmine Verkuyk to do it. She could tour it round the world in 85 different languages. I was thinking of actors who could play Vision, and I thought of Michael Xavier from the West End, and literally just stopped, because that is the answer. I can pitch nobody else after I had that idea in my head. He's been in Les Mis in his day, he's been in Phantom in his day, he's been in Mamma Mia in his day, and he has that authentic British voice. I would just die inside if a Broadway actor played Vision and did not get the accent right, because the Paul Bettany Vision voice is so good. So yeah, Michael Xavier. He lonk, he's strong, he sing a good song. What's happened to me, honestly? I used to be eloquent. Next up, my favourite character and yours, we have to talk about Agnes. Those of us who have watched episode 7 onwards all know that Agnes is really Agatha, evil witch pretending to be nosy neighbour, secretly in control of everything. It was Agatha all along. I will never get bored of that song. Agatha is one of the most demanding roles, played so incredibly well by Kathryn Hahn, because she has to go through all of these time periods as well as the others, and she has to be believable and subtle and comic. Then she comes out as this whole badass evil villain and she has to have that down as well. The second I thought about a Wandavision musical, I decided Anna Gasteyer has to play this role. If you don't know who she is, she was a comedian who was on Saturday Night Live for many years. She's a sketch comedian, so she can jump into those different characters and those different eras very well. She subsequently went on to open the Chicago production of Wicked playing Elphaba. She's done other musicals, including the film version of Reefer Madness. She has the comedy, she has the vocal chops, and she looks unmistakably similar to Kathryn Hahn. This is a slam dunk piece of casting, I'll be honest. If you want more of a curveball, I could see some other Wicked alumni in this role. People like Rachel Tucker would be great at this. People like Jessica Vosk would be great at this. Now, we can't talk about WandaVision without the cameos that featured in the show, and one of the biggest OMG moments was when Evan Peters came into the show as Quicksilver, but the other version of Quicksilver, the X-Men version of Quicksilver. So the show gained a lot of attention for this cameo appearance. It would be great to do something similar in a musical version. Now, obviously, there's no musical version of X-Men we can pull a Quicksilver from. The closest thing I thought of for casting Pietro in the WandaVision musical, either Reeve Carney or Matthew James Thomas, who have both played Spider-Man in Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark on Broadway. It would be a little nod to the fact that there had been other superheroes within the musical cinematic universe. No, that doesn't make sense. The Marvel theatrical universe. MTU, bitches. And I feel like we have to acknowledge Spider-Man at some point, because musicals about superheroes have been attempted before. They do not have a long, proud history. The first serious adaptation of a known superhero to the stage, in my recollection, was It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman, which was sort of this camp stage show parody of the Superman story. I don't know much about that show beyond the song You've Got Possibilities. It was directed by legendary Broadway director Hal Prince, but it did not have a long run. More notorious, of course, is Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. This show was a multi-million-dollar mess that I'm not even going to go into now, because I could spend hours talking about sort of the audience impact and everything that went wrong with the show. It was a minefield of just mess. It's not Spider-Man's proudest moment. And there have been other parody superhero musicals as well, like Wolverine that I saw at the Edinburgh Fringe, Eugenius, The Toxic Avenger, but Spider-Man is the only other serious stage adaptation of a known comic book superhero. So any production of WandaVision as a musical would inextricably be linked in the press to the Spider-Man musical. It would be considered a second attempt after that failure, shall we say. The other person I thought about casting for was Monica Rambeau. I would love to see Danae Benton in this. I would love to see Anna Uzele. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she's currently playing Catherine Parr in 6 on Broadway. I thought she'd be great in that role. Or Patina Miller, because she is a superhero just already, so you may as well cast her as one. So it's all very well us talking about this. Would this actually be able to happen on any level? Now, while I don't ever see it actually making it to Broadway as a Marvel-endorsed Broadway musical, there could possibly be life for a show like this at a Disney theme park or on a Disney cruise ship. I have a friend who's actually worked as a performer on a cruise ship where she performed in a Marvel-themed show on the ship. So why not write an entire show to put on the ship and make it this huge spectacle? Put it at the theme parks, make it drum up advertising for WandaVision, for Disney Plus, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Money, capitalism, power. And I'd still go and see it because I'm obsessed. That's how they get us. This is capitalism right here. Look at my, if you can see my t-shirt, this is a Disney Villainess t-shirt. I have Mickey Mouse slippers. When did they get me? I don't even know. But that is my idea for the show, that you could produce it in a Disney park. And you wouldn't take the plot the whole way through to the end of WandaVision, but you could make it this teaser. So you could make it maybe just an hour-long show where she finds out that she's being controlled at the end and it sort of leads into WandaVision, perhaps. Again, lots of things creatively you could bring to an idea like this. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Do you agree with a WandaVision musical? Is this something you'd want to see? Do you agree with my ideas about it? Do you have any of your own ideas? Casting-wise, who could you see playing these characters? Let me know what you think. Let's have a chat about it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my channel where there is plenty more stagey content coming very soon. I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day. For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey. Thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!